Hi, I'm Deb Starker. I'm the Executive Director of the Museum of Early Trades and Crafts, and I'd like to introduce you to the James Library Building. The James Library Building was built in 1899 and opened in 1900. It was a gift to the people of Madison by philanthropist D. Willis James. And it served as Madison's first public library until 1967. New Jersey Transit train tracks are right alongside the building. They were built in 1837 and they were elevated in 1916, so a number of years after the building was erected. So they do have an impact on the building a little bit.
When the library moved to larger quarters in 1967, the James Library Building remained vacant for a time, with the Borough Council contemplating its fate. In 1969, amateur historians and collectors, Edgar and Agnes Land, petitioned the town to allow them to use the building for their new museum, which would focus on the early settlers and immigrants to New Jersey. In 1970, the Lands moved their nearly 8,000 artifacts to the James Library Building, creating the Museum of Early Trades and Crafts. Since becoming home to METC, the building has undergone a number of restorations, preservation projects, and the addition of a conservatory in 1997 to adapt the use for ADA compliance. It was at this time that the museum staff and board realized the need for a capital campaign to transform the small rooms and exhibit spaces and open up the building to its original beauty. With a partnership from the Borough of Madison and support from various donors and foundations, a major project to renovate the building was begun. The museum reopened in 1997 and showcased the original stenciled walls, the vaulted ceilings, and an intricate interior design.
So inside the building, you really can see some of the magnificent architectural details, including the vaulted ceilings, the stained glass windows, and beautiful ironwork and doors, enormous doors that lead into the trustees' room. So I'm sitting right now in what we call the stacks area of the James Library Building. These are the original book stacks that were part of the library from 1900 until 1967.
The 2012 Preservation Plan, funded in part by a grant from the Morris County Historic Preservation Trust, explored the details of the building and identified key areas in need of restoration. The overall scope of the work has been reduced from the original proposal due to limited funding, but at the end of this Phase 5, we will have addressed all the immediate concerns jeopardizing the integrity of the building, and we feel confident that we can continue to operate here as a museum, ensuring the safety of our collection, our staff, and our visitors. The conservation and preservation projects completed to date with funding from Morris County Historic Preservation Trust are the preparation of construction documents in 2014, the installation of new below-grade drain pipe, new slate and copper gutters and downspouts and scupper box, and the repointing of the north elevation in 2015, the raking out and repointing of the tower masonry, replacing downspouts and counterflashing, and installing 2 new Kemperer roofs in 2016. Adding a new concrete walkway and replacing the original terracotta finials in 2017. Replacing the original slate roof with new slate, completing the raking and repointing, replacing brick and tower, and cleaning outside of the building and repairing the archway in 2018. And in 2019, the historic documentation review and research, thermal scanning, salt and paint analysis of the interior decorative finishes, and creating the construction documents for further conservation of the interior. The purpose of this final phase of the preservation plan is to perform the needed conservation and restoration of the interior finishes that have seen damage from previous water ingress,